This is probably the best decision I almost never made. 10 years ago, I was 45 years old and I had never ridden a motorcycle. I had no idea it was about to change my life at this age. One of the questions I get all the time is, am I too old to start riding? My answer is no.
Because it's never too late to become a beginner again.
I still remember my first few rides. Every time I came up to a stoplight, I only had one thing on my mind: don't stall. Getting into first gear sounded easy until you're the one learning balancing the clutch, and the throttle takes all of your attention. Every time the light turned green, I'd let the clutch out and a little gas, then wonder, too much? Not enough? Every single stoplight felt like a test. I wasn't trying to look cool. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I was just trying to learn.
So remember to be patient with yourself. Take your time, focus on the basics. Remember, progress isn't linear. Be kind to yourself, and remember, consistency wins. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep riding.
The more I rode, the more I realized the best riders weren't the ones who knew everything. They were the ones who never stopped learning. When most people buy their first motorcycle, they think they're becoming a rider. They're not. They're becoming a student.
And just like any student, you gotta give yourself time.
I still remember riding home for the first time. It wasn't a long ride, but it felt like the longest ride of my life. Every intersection, every stoplight, every turn required my full attention. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I was mentally exhausted.
Riding is very mentally demanding. Allow yourself to not only strengthen your physical reflexes, allow yourself to strengthen your mental reflexes.
I sat there just looking at the bike, and I remember thinking, I have a lot to learn. And that's when I realized buying the motorcycle was the easy part. Becoming a rider would happen one ride at a time.
Those rides build your confidence. With every ride, you're learning something new and building on your experience.
I remember helping one customer who had just bought his first motorcycle. We started talking about the kind of riding he wanted to do. He told me he planned to ride as long as the weather was nice. So I showed him a pair of heated gloves. He looked at them, smiled, and said, I don't think I'll ever need those. So he bought a regular pair instead. A few months later, he walked back into the store. He came right over to me, smiled, and said, you were right. He told me he had gone back, bought the heated gloves, and they completely changed his winter riding. That really stuck with me. Not because it was a pair of gloves, it was about experience.
An experience doesn't have to be learned on your own. Don't be afraid to ask from experienced riders.
I think starting at 45 gave me an advantage. Not because I learned faster, I didn't, but because I didn't feel like I had anything to prove.
Just take your time when gathering your experience, awareness, judgment, and confidence to become a better rider.
And the wisdom from my age taught me how to put my pride aside. I think when you're younger, there can be pressure to look like you already know what you're doing. I never felt that. I was comfortable asking questions and practicing until I got it right. And then, one day, I pulled away from a stoplight without thinking about the clutch, without thinking about the throttle. I just rode. It turns out 45 was exactly the right time to begin. And it also made me realize, even at this age, I can decide to start something new. That one decision led me to places I never expected. It introduced me to people I never would have met. It even led me to a career I never dreamed of.
And that dream first started as one idea, but actually led to so much more.
None of that happened overnight. It happened one ride, one conversation, one experience at a time. That's why I tell people, don't think about whether this motorcycle will change your life. Think about whether it opens the door to a life you want to live.
No matter how old you are, because it's never too late.
I don't think motorcycles changed my life.
Motorcycles changed me.
If these stories and lessons I've learned along the way mean something for you, I'd love to have you here. Hit subscribe. If you enjoyed this story, I think you'll really like my video of how I went from a professional actor to working into the motorcycle industry. Check it out right over here. What's something you always wanted to do, but haven't started yet? Thanks again, and I'll see ya.